So, Rick, how about you?
Compared to Dave, my life has been a rather boring journey.
Well, you went to graduate school.
Yeah, I went to grad school, got a degree in clinical psychology and counseling, and then ended up in a 47-year career in human resources, working for various companies like Kraft Enterprises, Plaid Enterprises, Scientific Atlanta, that type of thing. We moved to Atlanta, lived there for 30 years, and then Nancy and I decided we were fed up like Dave was with the corporate world and moved to Kanab, Utah, where I became the director of human resources for the world's largest no-kill animal sanctuary. There are 2,000 cats, 3,000 dogs, and it was great. From there, I got a job at Kona Brewing Company in Hawaii in HR, and then worked there for 4 years, and then was transferred to Portland, Oregon, where I worked there for 8 more years until we were bought out by Anheuser-Busch, and I said, tea time, I gotta retire, bye-bye. And then eventually moved to the Villages in Florida.
Okay. And I noticed behind you, you have some instruments. I don't know what those are. They could be ukuleles, large ukuleles or something.
There are about 13 guitars. I have a couple acoustics, and then the rest are evenly divided with Fenders and Gibson humbuckers and single coil.
So like David, you dabble every once in a while, pick up a guitar or a keyboard and fool around with it.
Yeah, I still have a keyboard and guitar. Yeah, I still have both.
Okay.
I don't play them anymore. I have an Epiphone guitar and a synthesizer that Rick gave me.
Good.
How about you, Sir John?
I went to graduate school for a couple of years while Sally was getting her undergrad degree, and then I quit graduate school without getting my master's. So I have that going for me. And I was briefly collected insurance, did insurance, sold insurance supposedly. And then I got into retailing, first with Vornado and later with the Bon-Ton. And I was with them. I retired after 25 years with the Bon-Ton as a store manager and lived in a couple locations in Pennsylvania, York, Chambersburg, moved to upstate New York and in the Binghamton metro area. Then moved back down to Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Really, I've always continued to write music. I wrote a lot of music, wrote a lot of songs for my wife. And then my two daughters, I wrote some songs for them. And then my brother-in-law by marriage, we both married sisters, we entertained at Sally's family reunions on the 4th of July weekend. They would have neighbors over for usually a couple kegs of beer and people were just having a lot of fun, and we would just play music and have fun and kind of a hootenanny style. So I kept my fingers in it that way. And then when Sally and when we moved to State College in 2010, I joined a senior citizen jazz band, and I played guitar with them. I was the least professional musician of the bunch. Also one of the youngest members, so I became the roadie at first, and then that's where I got the Jumping John nickname. Back when we played together in your garage, I didn't jump around a lot, but I started getting into the beat, the big band, jazz beat, and I would jump around with my guitar. I never sat. And the leader, Joe Perez, called me Jumpin' John once, and that kind of stuck. And then when Joe had some health issues and had to cut back, and basically I took over for him as the leader. I did everything from planning our practices to arranging for gigs. At gigs, I ran the soundboard and the mixer in addition to playing guitar. So I was wearing many hats, plus I had to haul all the equipment in my car. So I did quite a bit, and it was fun because it kept my hand in music, and it justified having the few guitars I have sitting around. Sally, she gave me heck for having all this stuff sitting around and not using it. So at least I put it to use for a while. Because of the pandemic, the band had to stop performing, but we did a lot of gigs and performed at county fairs and all kinds of stuff. It was a good experience for me. And again, going back to my piano, it was good that I knew how to read music because these guys, they maybe weren't music majors, but many of them were former professors of something who played in high school or college or military bands. They played their instruments and they really knew their stuff. And it was kind of neat to be around those people. And they accepted me for my weakness and my organizational skills. Let's say that.
Well, Jack, all I can say is you've made the band proud by continuing the legacy.
And continue the tradition.
Yeah. Well, it's music's fun. I've written over 250 songs. None of them are published, but it's just something I've always liked to do, and it gets the creative juices going, I guess, and that's always fun.
Yeah, and I think it's more than 250 if you look
Oh
at the
yes,
folder
yeah.
that I have next to me when we started out. I mean, I've got hundreds of sheets of paper that, like I said before, you have lyrics, guitar chords. I have no idea where you came up with this stuff, these bizarre chords that if I try to imitate what they are, there's no way I could do it. But yeah, that was when you were about 13, 14 years old. So it was very, very creative, sort of the mastermind of our group.